Hi, my name is Ken Cable, and I'm here to read excerpts from my novel, Lost. This is about three young boys who get lost in a High Sierra snowstorm and what they went through to survive. Mark suddenly stood up straight. Apprehension, close to fear, flooded his consciousness. He was standing in a small clearing in the forest, surrounded by tall trees. The wind had sharpened, biting at his exposed neck and face. Lowering black clouds blotted out the blue sky, and a light snow had begun to fall. His younger brother and cousin stopped at the edge of the dark woods when they saw he wasn't following them. As he looked quickly around, all thought of the deer they were tracking vanished. "Come on, Mark," Jeff shouted excitedly, but Mark stood still, struggling against the panic welling up in him. Can't panic, he thought. Dad said, never panic, never panic. Think it out, he told me. The snowfall steadily increased as he desperately sought to identify the way they had come. His mind raced. We'll follow our own tracks, he thought. But where did they enter the clearing? He circled it quickly, ignoring the boys standing in the center of the small meadow watching him. The snow had already obscured their tracks, and nothing remained to guide him. Fighting down a surging panic, he ordered the boys to follow him as he plunged into the woods. Ranger Jim Foster had monitored the weather forecast each day since the boys went missing. The storm engulfing the Sonora Pass region of the Sierras was unusual this time of the year, but not unprecedented. He knew that this storm should last just a few days, no more than a week. He also knew that each day without clearing made it less likely they would find the boys alive, if somehow they survived that first night. It was 4 o'clock in the morning of the 9th day that the forecast said the skies should clear by daybreak. His call to the Marine base confirmed that the helicopter would be ready on the pad for takeoff at first light. 10 minutes later, he was on his way up the mountain to the base. Real hope for the boys' survival did not go with him. Mark felt the wind change as he moved along the trail. Now it was blowing in against the face of the cliff. He was used to the chilling winds boiling down from the snow-covered peaks. This wind was warmer. He stopped on the trail above the jagged rocks littering the base of the cliff far below. The leaden sky began to lighten. He watched as the heavy clouds pushed by the easterly wind began to break up and disintegrate. Through their tattered edges, Mark saw small patches of the first blue sky he had seen since they came to this place. He watched in fascination and excitement as dazzling sunlight flooded into the basin, pushing the clouds back across the Sierra peaks to the west. He stared out across the basin from the narrow trail. For the first time he could see the tops of the ridges that formed their rocky home, standing out in bold relief against the bright blue Sierra sky. Stretching away on either side were the jagged snow-clad peaks that marched away beyond his view. The wind-rippled surface of the lake sparkled in the sun, and he could see the pools where he caught fish with his hands. On the far side of the lake loomed the huge tangle of granite blocks that formed their cave shelter. He wanted to shout his joy. The skies had cleared and it was morning, and somehow he knew that the searchers would find them today. He exulted as he turned to look back along the trail to the cleft in the mountain through which the bear had come to terrorize them. "You bear!" he shouted and shook his spear. The laughter that started to follow his shout died in his throat as the greatest fear he'd ever known surged through him when he turned in time to see the wounded bear shuffle around the outcropping into full view on the ledge. Seeing him, the bear rose to his full height on his back legs. The roar of the enraged animal shattered the stillness of the morning and rolled in successive waves across the basin. Thank you for watching and listening.